and welcome everyone to today's session. Hopefully it will be interesting for you. We recently launched Q, this first IRO agent, which is a AI solution that we've been working on for some time. I'm going to go through, I'm going to open up a deck and walk through a couple of slides that really help frame why we feel like there's the need for a specialized AI solution in IR. But just to give you a little bit of context in terms of background, Q4 went public back in the fall of 2021. And so we were public for about a year or so when ChatGPT came out, and that was in the fall of 22. Since that point, we have been deeply immersed in all things related to AI. And while we were an issuer, we got acquired by private equity back in last year. But while we were an issuer, we did a ton of work in leveraging all the different AI tools that we could find in terms of figuring out what are the core use cases that could really impact the work that we were doing as an issuer. And we realized that there's a couple of really strong use cases that we focused on. The first one was around helping to draft earnings scripts, and also is around summarizing our peers' earnings transcripts. And so we actually brought those two products to market last year, in June of last year. And they've done pretty well. We've got a couple of hundred customers that are using those. They've found tons of utility in terms of time savings. But we felt that there was more, and we really wanted to really embrace working with our customers to figure out what we could bring to market to really impact things. And what I'm going to take you through today and what Q is as a result of that. So just also a big thank you to, we worked with around 30 different customers in bringing this product to market. And you all spent a ton of time with us and gave us a lot of feedback and a lot of great ideas. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you to all of you, and also to the whole team here at Q4 that's been working so tirelessly for so many months to bring this to market. And it's really very exciting. So let's share my screen, and we will get started. Okay. So what I'm going to go over today is to walk through a couple key points, and then going to jump into a quick demo and show you Q in action. Then it's going to leave around hopefully about 10 minutes or so for Q&A. And I'm looking forward to getting into it. So I'm going to review why IR needs its own AI, what sparked Q, and what were the feedback that we're hearing from a lot of customers in terms of what we were trying to solve. And then what is really the difference between what we're doing and what you're able to do with general tools out there, like ChatGPT. So let's get started. So the first is when really thinking about why we felt IR needed its own AI, is that, as you've probably seen, depends on your company and the size of your company, or if you're from an agency, the size of your agency, how much AI kind of tooling you already have inside the enterprise. But for a lot of folks that are from like Fortune 500 type companies, you're seeing just a ton of deployments happening. And in those aspects that are not IR specific, we're seeing these other corporate functions get huge benefits. And that includes things like real-time analytics, these automated workflows, being able to centralize a lot of communication, being able to look at it in terms of like customer research, or helping your sales force, or helping marketing, and just an incredible benefit in terms of how these systems are unified and integrated across various different data sets. But the problem is that we really were not seeing that happen for IR. And while that was happening, this gap that was happening is that the world of investor relations traditionally, and this is what we're so obsessed with tackling, is it's just such a heavy admin lift. So when you're looking at everything that you need to do every quarter, and that whole cadence in terms of preparing for earnings, everything you need to do, the quarter gets closed, you're preparing for earnings, you execute earnings, you do your follow-ups, you get on the road, you go to your conferences, you meet, and then you repeat the whole thing again. We've always described IR as a 3-month-long job that repeats 4 times a year. And the challenge is that the manual tasks associated to doing that really prohibit the ability to scale and be able to be more strategic. And that aspect in terms of not being strategic, not being innovative, where it impacts is your ability to engage, target, and spend time with the right investors to ultimately be able to have an impact on the business. And what we've seen is that the admin overload is something that can inhibit a lot of these like army of one teams that are out there from really being able to have that impact. So that's something that we really focused a lot on in terms of how to solve that. Today's IR reality in a lot of cases is multiple different systems, multiple different data sets, multiple different insights. And you as the IRO or the IR team, you're the point of integration. It's up to you to take data from this place and put it to that place. It's up to you to find where those holes are in terms of your analysis. And that's where we found that AI can really do things that that haven't been possible before. And that's what we're really excited about with Q. So some of the quotes that we heard in working with our customers during this entire period, we captured a couple of them here. And this is the aspect. The one I love is like we're spending more time preparing for meetings than having them. Just the burden of pulling all this stuff together, it takes so much time. Everything's so scattered. We're missing opportunities to engage the right investors. This is one of the biggest issues because you spend time with the wrong investors, it really is a double impact. That you waste time, the opportunity cost of not being in front of a good investor, but you also waste time in terms of being able to execute other parts of your program. And the other one, which we found, is this like generic AI, and these are the tools such as like ChatGPT or others. They simply don't understand what we do. Now, if you pump into ChatGPT today and say, hey, like, what does investor relations do? It's certainly going to give you a great response. I mean, these tools are so powerful. But where it lacks is what data it has access to and what workflows it has access to. So there's a limited amount of utility that you can gain from a publicly available, like general tool like ChatGPT. And that also goes for if you've been able to deploy those internally. So if you use ChatGPT or if you use Copilot or Gemini or any of these systems that are connected to like your Office suite, you experience the same thing, that they are incredibly capable systems for many different use cases. But when you get down to like really doing IR work, they fall short because unless you are, again, you're the point of integration, you do all the work to consolidate all the data, to bring it all together, to put it into the system, and you have to manually manage all of that data and that context in order to get the output. So what we really felt is the opportunity to do all that in an automated way. So when you look at these generic tools, and again, like these tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Copilot, they are all super powerful. So no way is this saying that those tools are not very good. But again, what they lack is the data, they lack the workflow, they lack the subject matter expertise of what you need in terms of really being able to get your work done. And so that's where our inspiration came. We're like, well, what if we create our own agent that is trained on everything that we know about investor relations, trained on everything that our customers know about investor relations, trained on market regulations that we operate in, trained on best practices, trained on what success looks like. And then also, what if we feed it all of the data that we have? So we sit on a large data asset that includes like a universe of ownership data, ownership, firm and fund profiles, contact profiles, hundreds of thousands of records. We also have massive amounts of analytics in terms of investor behavior across the market, in terms of what they're doing across websites, events, investor meetings, et cetera. And what if we combined all of that data along with your specific data? So this is like the history from your CRM, all of your notes that are from your investor meetings, any of the information that you would upload, and we make all of this in a secure way so you have confidence to upload MMPI into the system. If we could do that, then we could have something that we think could not only save you time, but it could give you strategic inputs and help in ways that maybe simply didn't exist anymore. And so that's what we set out to build. And we built the first version of this. It was like September of last year, and we started iterating with customers. And the feedback we received was really, really great. And we got it actually in a couple of different ways, and I'll show you this in a demo in just a second, is that chat is a great interface because it's conversational. You can ask a question, you get a great response, you can have that conversation back and forth and kind of dig down into your analysis. But the problem with chat is that you have to do that. So if you want an answer, you have to go get it. And that's why we've seen this rise of agents. And if you are tuned to the AI trends that are in the world today, you hear a lot about agents. And agents are simply the ability for you to instruct AI to basically go do something for you on a predetermined time frame. So I want you on every Monday to go get this information, do this analysis, and give me this report. Or I want you to monitor this piece of data or this part of the market, and if you see something that looks like this, then let me know. So those aspects, that's where we saw the opportunity to really automate a ton of the use cases that you have, or the ton of the workflows that you have in terms of how you do your IR work. So that's what we set out to build, and that's what we were able to launch with Q. So we're super excited to bring that to market. So what I'll show you now is just a couple of quick examples of that. So the first thing, actually, let me close that for a sec. So what we're looking at here, this is the Q4 platform. And so just to orientate everyone, this is where customers traditionally have come in and they would manage their website, manage their earnings, look at analytics. And we had these features last year that we launched around Earnings Copilot. I'm not going to spend time going through that today, but this is our scripting engines for earnings scripts. Super productive. It saves a ton of time. And then you also have the ability to get earnings call summaries. So if you track your peer group, you can get the latest calls here and just get a quick summary. Those weren't really earth-shattering. They were just the beginning. But now what we've done is bring this new version of the platform, and this is what Q is. I'm going to come back and talk about a couple of these things that we're looking at here, because these are the actual agents. But before we do that, I'm going to start with the chat. So the first is, and I already had this prompt in here in terms of introduce yourself. So the Q is your personal IR agent. And the key thing here is that the Q for you is a bespoke agent. So the more that you use Q, it's going to begin to understand your preferences, your background, your company. And it also is, when you configure your agents, they are entirely bespoke to you. So you have a particular report that you create, you have a particular workflow that you have, your management wants information delivered in a certain way. All of that is configurable within Q. So it makes, it really is your partner in executing your program. So a couple of things here in terms of capabilities of the system. So these are built right in terms of shareholder analysis, engagement intelligence, so tracking interactions across your website, events, email, contact management. This has access to around 800,000 contacts, a hugely beneficial capability of the platform. Market intelligence, we can pull stock news, tons of different information is pulled into the system. The interesting thing is also it has the ability to analyze all of the meetings that you have. Now, if you're a Q4 client and you use the Q4 desktop, our CRM, all of this is backwards compatible and integrates very smoothly. But if you use a different CRM, you can also download all your investor interactions. So let's say from the last 6 months from that CRM, and you can upload it into Q, and Q will aggregate all of that data into the system, and then you can do analysis on it. So if you want to be able to, understand the movements across, understand how the questions in your investor meetings have been asked over time, you can use Q to do that. So it's super, super powerful. And what makes it different, this is just, I asked it to talk about kind of what makes Q different. The amazing thing in working with the AI is I can also ask it things like, help me prepare for this demo. Help me explain why it is you're beneficial to IROs. And its ability to understand context is something that honestly has surprised me many times since we've been building this. And so something that's really exciting to use. So what I can do is we'll just start quickly and just say, let's do a review of my top 10 holders. So I just wanted to start by asking a really simple question. And but when I say let's do a review of my top 10 holders, what I'm asking it to do is to do more than just give me a list of those holders. And you can see here that Q communicates to me. I'm pulling your current top 10 institutional shareholders, provide you a comprehensive review. Now, the way that our system works is that Q works with a team of other agents to pull specific data sources. And the reason that matters is that we don't have the AI going directly to the directly into the database. It goes to an agent that is designed, or a service that's designed to pull that specific data. So it causes it to be, it can take a little bit longer to do some analysis, but the benefit is that it really inhibits anything to do with any sort of like hallucination or anything like that. So we can see here, so this is now starting to print. We see the top 10 shareholders review, and that's coming out. So when we look at the review, the great thing here is that, again, it's not just saying, I could say, just give me the top 10 holders. But what I wanted to show you is the strategic benefit of leveraging AI in that it can do so much more. So we can see here that this is pulling out both the profile, the position status, investment style, and the strategic value of each of my top 10 holders. This is a great example of just digging into a one particular type of data, which is just shareholders. So we can also see here key strategic insights. So it's looking at positive indicators, areas of concern. We can see Royal London. I should have mentioned that in this demo instance, this is for Sage, which is a UK listed company listed on the London Exchange. So Sage is what I'm just using for a demo. Sage is not actually a customer. If there's anyone from Sage here, we're just using this from a demo instance. All the data that I'm showing you here is either publicly available data, or if it's internal data like CRM data, it is mock data just for the demo today. So no sensitive information being shared. But coming back to it, you look here in terms of positive indicators. Vanguard is increasing positions, suggests positive momentum. But these areas of concern in terms of like major position reduction in Royal London, something to pay attention to. A couple of other things here when we look at immediate action. So the fact that it takes the proactive step to suggest what to do next is something that is really, really powerful, because this really is a partner. It's not just a question answer. This is something where you're able to get more out of it than simply just a data pull. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to ask it to do something which is crossing a couple of different data sets. So let's compare the notes from my recent investor meetings to that of sell-side analysts on my last earnings call. So this is now pulling data from my CRM and all the meeting notes that I've had recently. And it's also looking at my latest earnings transcript, and it's pulling the questions that were asked from sell-side analysts. And then what it's doing is comparing those two things to give me a compare and contrast of those two data sets, which is a great insight, because what you're basically looking at and saying, what is the position or the view of the buy side versus the sell side in terms of how they're interacting with me. And this really helps us in terms of crafting our communication and positioning out into the meetings that are coming next week, or perhaps my earnings call that's coming up. So comparison, we can see here. So as it's flashing here, if you can see that on your screen, this is still showing that it's still doing some work. But so investor meetings versus sell-side analyst commentary. So key themes from recent investor meetings. I won't read through all these just in the interest of time, but tons of detail there. Typical sell-side analyst themes. So these are the questions that came out from our calls. Key differences in approach, common ground between both venues, strategic implications for my IR strategy. And again, I know I'm scrolling through this quickly, so you're not able to read it too much, and that's just in the interest of time. So that's a great example, though, of we're really just the tip of the iceberg here, is the ability for the AI and for Q to work on multiple different data sets that are all crossed and doing deep analysis on it. So if you want to look at, we could also expand that to say, let's look at the analyst questions across all of my peers, and let's compare that to the meetings I've been having with investors. There's tons more. It's just the very first initial example. Each one of these that I'm now showing is an agent. And the benefit of an agent is you can configure it to do something on your behalf. And some of them are simple. So this is just give me a price and volume chart. But I'm going to show you this one here, this week's IR priorities. And what this is is what I'm asking the agent to do is to perform a full data analysis on SGE and generate 5 things I should get done this week based on my IR activities, engagement data, and upcoming priorities. So this is a big ask of the agent, and it's updating this daily. So now the agent is going and getting all of that data, doing an analysis, and then coming back and rendering out a recommendation for what I should do this week. Now, again, you're not going to just do this. You're certainly going to prioritize, but this is a partner that's helping you see things you may have not seen, surface things back that you haven't seen. And when you look at doing this, whether it's for these are my top priorities for this week. So look at follow up on recent fidelity questions, capitalize on strong stock movement, address declining engagement trends, et cetera. But you're able to then configure this to really follow the reports and the cadence that you have in working with your management teams and stakeholders. So whether that's around daily things you're going to do or your results prep, configuring questions to be prepared for, looking at monthly analysis of your top 10 shareholders or any sort of like activist behavior, as well as configuring all of those board materials that take a ton of time and having them automated so the agents can do it on your behalf. So I know I moved through that super quick, but I'll stop sharing now. And we can just go to any questions that came up, because I know we've got, let's see, about 7 minutes left on today's session. So let's see if we have any questions.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for going through that, Darrell. That was really insightful. A couple questions have come in. The first one we have here is, how is our sensitive data handled, and what security or compliance measures are in place for Q4's AI capabilities?
That's a great question. So the first is, this is all built off of the Q4 platform. And the Q4 platform has been in market now for many years and has a very, very high security bar. That's because we've been handling material non-public information for many years, and all of our customers and some of our largest customers put us through the most rigorous testings and the most rigorous standards in terms of security. That same security envelope is included within the AI. The AI is a layer that runs on top of that security envelope, I'll call it. And so the benefit of that is that the data that you input into Q4 is 100% safe, and that's something that, again, we have all of the certifications associated to that, SOC 2, et cetera. But what we've also done with the AI is we have a very unique architecture in terms of how we leverage the AI. And the AI exists in our security environment, and we get all the benefits of the LLM. We actually use, it's called Sonnet 4.0, which is a version of Claude, is the underlying LLM that we've trained. And that sits within our secure infrastructure. But what we have now done, we have a special way in which we leverage the benefits of the LLM, but we do not feed any other data back to that LLM. So your data is safe and private at all times. And that's something that was absolutely critical from day one in architecting this.
Awesome. Thank you. And you actually answered the next question that came in while you did that answer, which is great.
Great.
Which additional features do you have on your roadmap for 2025, 2026?
So probably some of the stuff that we're working on immediately is expanding the data sets that are available. So for our customers that utilize our surveillance services, surveillance and shareholder ID, we're integrating all of that data. We're also looking at adding additional features around the kind of the exporting capability. So when you look at something like a particular report, we want you to be able to just like grab that in PowerPoint or grab that in Excel. So those kind of like export features are also something which is really key. The other is bringing additional features associated for agencies. So we work with a lot of agencies. We have a lot of excitement around utilizing this product within their firm. And we see a lot of different use cases. So we're looking to adapt the product to suit agencies even more so.
Awesome. The next one that came in is, how does Q leverage AI, and what tasks does the AI actually automate or enhance?
So, I mean, I was able to just give you a couple of quick demos, quick examples in the demo today. But I think the key thing, if you look at really any part of your job that involves a data pull and then an analysis and a report or an output, those are the things that it does a really great job of analyzing. So for instance, during each earnings period, you probably have to track your peers get a summary of the call and a summary of the questions asked by analysts. That job is something that can be fully automated with an agent, and it automatically just occurs during each earnings season. Let's say you also want to do something like every month you have to give a report to your management of all the meetings and engagements that you've had with investors. Who did you meet with? What were the topics that were discussed? Any outputs, and what's any sort of position changes or something like that? That's typically a multi-hour type job that you need to execute, and you do that either monthly. Some firms, some IROs I know do that weekly. That's also something that you can easily configure an agent to just simply do that work. So if you map out your job as an IRO and you look at what are the admin tasks that I need to do in terms of from a reporting standpoint, Q is amazingly capable at doing those. But the unintended thing that we've now discovered as we've rolled this all out is the strategic partner that you have there as well. So if you want to be able to look at, let's review our communications, or let's review our scripts, or how we're communicating in the market, or our presentations, and let's review that against our peers and give me some recommendations in terms of how we could improve and strengthen our strategic positioning against our peers in this particular aspect. Q is incredibly competent in doing that. And so it not only can save you time, but it can also be a thought partner to you to really help you level up. And ultimately, all of this is designed so it frees up your time and helps you deliver more strategic impact to your company. And I think we're just scratching the surface in terms of what Q is able to, how it's able to help in that regard.
Awesome. That was a great answer there. We're going to head into our last question because we're 1 minute to 11:30,
Right.
and it's a great one. So what are the next steps for Q?
So we're really excited to have it in market now, and we've got around like about 120 customers that are utilizing it, and we are so keen on all the feedback. So the consistent feedback, understanding what's working, what isn't working, how we can tweak it, how we can improve it, what our roadmap should look like. We are a complete open book right now in terms of all of the feedback. And what I'm really excited about, and we saw this when we launched the first features last year, the earnings Copilot in particular, the power users take the product in directions and in ways that we never envisioned. And I've already seen some of that as we went through the beta with the 30 customers, but I know that there's going to be even more of that. So seeing what the power users do, these power IROs that take it in different directions, that's what I'm most excited about this phase, because I think in us building it and even the beta users, there are different use cases we haven't even imagined yet that it's going to be amazing at. So just really excited about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Darrell, and thank you to everyone who joined us today for our very first CEO Spotlight. There will be more to come, so stay tuned for the next one. We hope you found this session insightful, and you are as excited as we are about the future of AI in investor relations.